Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Keep it, don't bust it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of the Shishir Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to this morning's Bhagavatam class. This morning we'll be continuing with Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 4, verses 45 through 50. We'll be covering 5 verses this morning, and the title of the chapter is The Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This morning's class will be given by His Grace Pariksit Prabhu in place of Mother Geeta. Mother Geeta is not well today. Actually, I have a humble request to all the devotees to please pray for her. She was admitted into the hospital for health challenges, and she just got discharged yesterday. She's in a lot of pain and on medication, definitely, but a lot of pain and just unable to talk. So we miss her. She gives amazing classes. So please pray for her that she gets a speedy recovery and we can have her association again. Without further delay, we'll continue with the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhavan Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhavan Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasi Shimari Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasi Shimari Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की जय रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तविंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय समवेत भक्त बिंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Guru. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Tera Swami Niti Namini, Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddharthane, Ti Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tera Namini. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. So this morning's class is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 45 through 50. And we will first chant text 45, and anyone who wants to chant text 45 can do so also. And then we'll continue from there. Yato taram asau swadam vishesho lasamanya pi ratir vasana ya swadvi basate kapikasya chit yato taram asau swadam Vishashula Sama Yapi Rati Vashana Yaswadvi Vasate Kapika Shatit Yatuttaram Asau Swada Vishashula Sama Yapi Rati Vasana Yaswadvi Vasate Kapika Shatit. Hare Krishna.
Yatottaramasa svadha vishesho la samayapi ratirvashanaya svadvi bhashate kapikaschayit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, we'll do word for word.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, go ahead.
Yatattaram asau swada vishesho la samay api ratirvasanaya swadvi bhasate kapi kasyachit.
Jai. Hare Krishna. All right, word for word. Yata utaram, one after another. Aso, that. Swada vishesha, of particular tastes. Ula samai, consisting of the increase. Api, although. Rati, love. Vasanaya, by the different desire. Swadvi, sweet. Vasate, exists. Ka api, any. Kashatit, of someone, the devotee. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desire manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. Report by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.38. Text 46. Ateva madura rasa kahitara namam swakiya parakiya bhavedvi vida samstaram. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, I call it Madhura Ras. It has two further divisions, namely wedded and unwedded love. Text 47. Parakiya bhavi ati rasera ulasa Rajavina ihara anyatra nahi basa. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. There is a great increase of mellow in the unwedded conjugal mood. Such love is found nowhere but in Raj. Text 48. Rajamadu ganira e pavani ravati Taramadi Sri Radhaya Bhavira Avati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. This mood is unbounded in the damsels of Raj, but among them it finds its perfection in Sri Radha. Text 49. Prauda Nirmala Bhava Prema Sarvotama Krishna Madhurya Rasa Asvada Karana. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. Her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of the conjugal relationship. Text 50. Ate vase bhava angi karakari sadirena nija vancha goranga srihari. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, Lord Gauranga, who is Sri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Of the four kinds of reciprocation of loving service, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, Madhurya is considered the fullest. But the conjugal relationship is further divided into two varieties, namely Swakiya and Parakiya. Swakiya is a relationship with Krishna as a formerly married husband, and Parakiya is a relationship with Krishna as a paramour. Expert analysts have decided that the transcendental ecstasy of the Parakiya mellow is better because it is more enthusiastic. This phase of conjugal love is found in those who have surrendered to the Lord in intense love, knowing well that such illicit love with a paramour is not morally approved in society. The risks involved in such love of Godhead make this emotion superior to the relationship in which such risk is not involved. The validity of such risk, however, is possible only in the transcendental realm. Swakiya and Parakiya, conjugal love of Godhead, have no existence in the material world, and Parakiya is not exhibited anywhere in Vaikuntha, but only in a portion of Golok Vrindavan, known as Vraj. Some devotees think that Krishna is eternally the enjoyer in Golok Vrindavan, but only sometimes comes to the platform of Raj to enjoy Parakya Ras. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, however, have explained that Krishna's pastimes in Braj are eternal, like his other activities in Goloka Vrindavan. Braj is a confidential part of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna exhibited his Raj pastimes on the surface of this world, and similar pastimes are eternally exhibited in Raja in Goloka Vrindavan, where Parakya Ras is ever existent. In the 3rd chapter of this epic, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has explicitly accepted the fact that Krishna appears in this material world at the end of the Dwapara age of the 28th Chatru Yuga of Vaishvatamanu and brings with him his Raj Dham, which is the eternal abode of his highest pastimes. As the Lord appears by his own internal potency, so he also brings all his paraphernalia by the same internal potency, without extraneous help. It is further stated here that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that the Parakya sentiment exists only in that transcendental realm and nowhere else. This highest form of ecstasy can exist only in the most confidential part of the transcendental world. But by the causeless mercy of the Lord, we can have a peep into that invisible Raj. The transcendental mellow relished by the gopis in Raj is super excellently featured in Srimati Radharani. Mature assimilation of the transcendental humor of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani, whose feelings are incomprehensible even to the Lord himself. It's the highest form of ecstasy. No one can surpass Srimati Radharani in relishing the qualities of the Lord through his supreme transcendental mellow. Therefore, the Lord himself agreed to assume the position of Radharani in the form of Lord Sri Gauranga. He then relished the highest position of Parakya Ras as exhibited in the transcendental abode of Raj. Om Gnati Vidanyasya Gyana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Unnitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Pandu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tata Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sundibhya Eva Chaptitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivachari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatayani Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Goratise Namaha Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabhi Vichavishindaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Rasmanaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Hare Krishna. So we go back to 45. So text 45, English translation. Increasing love is experienced in various states, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desire, manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. The highest taste is conjugal love. Now, therefore, I call it Madhurya Ras. It has two further divisions, namely the wedded and unwedded love. There is a great increase of mellow in the unwedded conjugal mood. Such love is found nowhere but in Vraj. This mood is unbounded in the damsels of Vraja, but among them it finds its perfection in Sri Radha. Her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. Her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of the conjugal relationship. And finally, text 50. Therefore, Lord Gauranga, who is Sri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. So the rasas are being described here. Rasas are relationships which have their own taste, loving taste. Those who are in deep relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead are pure devotees of the Lord. The rest of us conditioned souls are learning by instructions from the spiritual master how to relate to the Lord. And how to relate to the Lord starts with good relationships among the devotees. If you relate well to the devotees, that's a good start. That is the best start. As a matter of fact, that's the only start. And from there, you can go through the understanding of how to relate to the spiritual master in love. To understand the spiritual master's instructions will at that point be obeyed 100%. And the aim, the way in which the spiritual master wants to serve, in this case, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, and the parampara on up, will be explained to the devotee that is in love with the spiritual master. This is how we show our love to the spiritual master, by obeying him and being part of his mission. The general mission around the world is to spread Krishna consciousness, but it's done in a number of ways, and different gurus have different ways in which they approach it. The same aim. You will see in the different types of programs, retreats. I'll just give one example. Satyananda Swami, if he's having a retreat, you're going to hear about chanting of the holy name, like that. And so if you were his disciple, then you might want to get involved in some of the services to make that particular type of general approach to developing devotee care and devotee sentiments towards the Lord that way. So it's a very simple thing to do. Just ask your spiritual master what he wants you to do. You say, oh, my spiritual master has left his body. It doesn't make any difference at all. You still can ask. Go to his picture and ask. So loving sentiments are what Krishna wants us to get to. And spiritual master is helping us. And senior devotees are themselves trying to grow and also helping with what experience that they've picked up for everybody else to try to grow. All of us to get to the same aim, Krishna Prema, love of Godhead. The love of Godhead is already exhibited in the spiritual world, in the rasas that's been explained, and particularly the rasas that involve actual relationship, not the admiration one, which is the Santa ras, the neutral ras. That was not talked about much here. But what was talked about is the ras, the taste of being a servant of the Lord, the taste of being a friend of the Lord, the taste of being a parent of the Lord, and the taste of being a conjugal lover for the Lord. So, the way in which we've listed it is actually the level of sweetness. It goes higher and higher. First, from being a servant, master-servant relationship is a wonderful relationship, but that of a friend has even a deeper connection with the Lord. That of a parent is even more, deeper still compared to a friend. And the conjugal lover is the highest relationship with the Lord, the Madhurya Ras. And so it's been described wonderfully here. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that in the Madhurya Ras, there are the relationship with the Supreme Lord as the Lord's wife, or in a marriage situation. And then there's a paramour type situation where you're Krishna's girlfriend, but there's no marriage there. And what has been said to us is that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that there's a great increase in the mellow of the unwedded conjugal mood, the Pariksit Ras, and is found nowhere else but in Raj, in Goloka Vrindavan. There are numerous Vaikuntha planets, and there's a Lord Narayan in all of those planets, one Lord Narayan per planet. And there are countless devotees, pure devotees, who are serving Lord Narayan, but not in the conjugal mood. You cannot find the conjugal mood anywhere else but in Goloka Vrindavan. And therefore, the conjugal mood also happens here because a replica, here we're saying in Vrindavan in India, because a replica of Goloka Vrindavan by the Lord's own sweet will is existent in Vrindavan, in India, but only for those whose eyes are anointed with the salve of love, as Lord Brahma describes it in his compilation, Brahma Samhita. So the mellow or the ras of the conjugal mood of Krishna, between Krishna and the residents, are very, 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 very nice, and it's very high. And this is the mood of the cowherd ladies, cowherd girls, the damsels of Braja. And Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is saying the perfection of it, the summit of that relationship, is in fact Sri Radharani, Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of the Lord. And he describes also that her pure, mature love is higher than anyone else. So much so that Krishna tasting the sweetness of a conjugal relationship has to do with how Srimati Radharani relates to Lord Krishna. So Srimati Radharani is basically in a class by herself. There is Krishna Prema, love of Godhead, exhibited by all of the gopis. But the one for Srimati Radharani is higher than everybody else. There are actually 7 steps. And those 7 steps start with one that's called Sneha, and we'll get to that later on if we have time to describe it in detail. Sneha, then Mana, then like that, and it just goes on up to Mahabhav. And those are 7, and I only listed, I know 3 of them. There's Raga, there's Anuraga, there's Bhava, there's Mahabhav. So they're all there. And then the gopis exhibit some of these. Some of them exhibit 1, some of them exhibit more than 1. But the only gopi, chief gopi, that exhibits all 7 of them is Srimati Radharani. And that's why she is in a position by herself. And so much so that the combination of all 7 levels of prema is given a name by itself. Madanakya Mahabhav. So Madanakya Mahabhav is only exhibited by Srimati Radharani. And because he has all of these other types of love, and she can exhibit any one of them at any time or any combination at any time, depending on how she's relating to Krishna. She is in an exceptional position. And that's why when the Lord wanted to taste the sweetness of love for himself, he opted to go with the Krishna Prema level that Srimati Radharani is at. And that's why he came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Bharam Sa Krishna. He is Krishna himself, but come as a devotee of Krishna with the mood of Radharani and, in fact, the complexion of Srimati Radharani. They called him Gora Hari because he looked like Krishna, but he had a fair complexion. So those who knew Krishna could see Krishna's face, but not the blue, black, wonderful effulgence that was from him. This time it was a golden color. So they also named him Gora because Gora is for gold. Gora Hari. So Lord Chaitanya was also in that Maranakya Mahabhav mood, just like Srimati Radharani. And this is a high level, in many ways, confidential discussion that through the Lord's mercy, maybe we'll be able to break some parts of it to try to make it understandable to all of us, because we're all at different levels. And the ras between Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, and especially when it comes to the rasa dance, the dance of love, the understanding of that has to come from Krishna himself. And those of us that are not pure devotees, we will have some trouble having a good understanding of what's going on. But Srila Prabhupada has said that when you read about the rasa dance and it gets explained, the effect that it should have is not the effect of lust at all. In fact, it's supposed to do the opposite, make one less lusty. Yet there are some people that say, oh, we'll look at it from a material standpoint. Krishna has so many girlfriends and he's enjoying the night with them. Therefore, they think in terms of lusty relationship. But that's not it at all. Anyway, so in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the Madhurya Ras is considered the fullest compared to Dasha Ras, servant, Sakya Ras, friend, Vatsalya Ras, and parental relationship. And we've talked about already Swakiya and Parakiya. So Swakiya is when Krishna is being related to by a woman that is married to him, like those 16,108 wives in Dwarka. They were all in the Swakiya Ras, beginning with Mother Rukmini and then Satyabhama, and then they're all there. Wonderful relationship, but they were wives. And the Parakiya Ras is one where there is that's Krishna as Paramo, like a boyfriend. But that's as far as we can talk about it at a material level, but it's much, much, much higher than that. And there are some parts of it that you may find unusual, to borrow that word for lack of a better word, find unusual, but it is in fact considered the topmost type of show of love for Krishna. So some people, Srila Prabhupada, in his purport sometimes talks about things that are misconceptions, and then he puts that, in proper perspective. So some people thought that the Parakiya Ras is only sometimes happening. And Sri Prabhupada debunked that by saying the six Goswamis of Vrindavan have explained that Krishna's pastimes are eternal. So the Parakiya Ras is going on eternally. In Vrindavan, which is the replica of Goloka Vrindavan, and in Goloka Vrindavan itself, the Parakiya Ras is always going on. So the eternal abode of Krishna, Vrajdam, is where Srila Prabhupada, by his wonderful mercy, is trying to get us to go. Not just the spiritual world, but to that particular planet. So the preparation, and he's given so much mercy, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, minimum has been reduced to 16. It used to be the minimum was 64. You could do 64 rounds or more if you wanted to. And there are devotees of the Lord, or even some demons turned devotees that even chanted more than that. Jagai and Madai chanted twice that. They chanted 128 rounds of japa after Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya gave them the mercy, and they stopped doing all the crap that they were doing in Navadvip. And the one that chanted 192 rounds a day, Haridas Thakur. But many devotees of the Lord were chanting 64 rounds a day. As a matter of fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj was saying that the chanting of 64 rounds was such a wonderful thing to do. But, in Kali Yuga, we couldn't keep up with it, and now Srila Prabhupada has given us mercy, first cutting it to 32 rounds, which some devotees do, and now to 16 rounds, which all initiated devotees are required to at least do. So, little by little, we will begin to understand these rasas. So we'll just start from a place where going from material to spiritual, and then we'll go back to talking about the ras, especially the Parikya ras. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, text 35 and 36, the spiritual rasas are explained. In fact, the spiritual sky is even explained by Srila Prabhupada's purport. So beyond these planetary systems and material sky, the ones we used to, we are in the middle part, the Bhuloka part, system of planets. There's another sky. The spiritual sky is actually called the Paravyoma. There are spiritual planets, they're all extremely effulgent. And the effulgence is from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it's not like here in the material world. The material world, the dark planets, it's only visible. Things are visible here when the sun is out. And then we have our little glowworm type of lights where sometimes we turn on, but no light compares to the sun. So we can see each other well, and even our eyes depend on where there's light. But the spiritual planets are always with light, and they are not only with light, they are also very, very effulgent. And the inhabitants of those planets, they engage in different varieties of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we've talked about that, the Dasya Ras, which is the servant-master relationship, Sakya Ras, which is a friend relationship, Vatsalya Ras, which is a parental relationship, where now Krishna as a father and mother, devotees, pure devotees playing that role, like Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, or Vasudev and Devaki playing that kind of role. And then Madhurya Ras, the relationship of conjugal, and above all of them, the Parikya Ras. And the Parikya Ras is prevalent in Goloka Vrindavan where Krishna lives. Only there. Nowhere else. Now, there, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna expands himself into millions and trillions of forms. Some are expansions, some are himself. And in Goloka Vrindavan, it's himself relating in these rasas. So he also comes to Vrindavan in India. He displays his pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan down, and then in Vrindavan also here. And the idea is to attract conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. That is the reason that he performs his pastimes here in the material world, particularly in this planet. And it's been explained to me that in the different universes, the Lord performs his pastimes too. there are earthly planets, medium planets in different universes, and the Lord performed pastimes there also. So it's not just one Golok Vrindavan in one earth planet, in one, one planet in one universe, but other universes also, the same pastimes are being performed there. When we say the same, doesn't mean that it's exactly going on like the way it is somewhere else, but it's the same category of Swakia and Pakia, Parakia Ras going on there. Sometimes even the names are similar. What we have here, there's Dwarka here, there's Dwarka in the spiritual world, there's Vrindavan here, there's Vrindavan in the spiritual world, like that. Ayodhya is also there, but that's going to Lord Ram's arena of where he relates. It's still Krishna. Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 28, Srila Prabhupada describes the Swakiya and the Parakiya Ras, the married type relationship, conjugal relationship, and the girlfriend type conjugal relationship, what it takes. So, of course, we already talked so many times that there's these two rasas, and both are in conjugal love. The queens of Dwarka are in Swakiya, duly married. And there's a difference in consciousness between a wife and a girlfriend. A wife and a girlfriend. And in Golok Vrindavan, the girlfriend type relationship is considered more exciting. Now, we'll break down a little bit parts of it so that we kind of get the sense of what's really going on. The Lord was in Vrindavan. He stayed there till he was 16 years old. And in his friendly relationship with the neighboring girls were that of Parakiya Ras. Now, before he even turned 10, he was dancing the Rasa dance. It was already going on. But at the age of 16 and after that, then he went to other pastimes and he had to leave. And, he went to Mathura and had to deal with Kansa and all those things that went on. Now, these girls that relate to Krishna and the queens also, in previous lives, they had undergone severe penances, taking vows, bathing in sacred rivers, offering sacrifices in fire. So many things prescribed in the scriptures, they had actually done that to get to that point. And for that matter, the cowherd boys were also those who had gone through such type of penances in previous life to get to that point of being able to play with Krishna. So it's not light stuff that, just by some kind of agreement, Krishna has picked up. No, they have actually gone through much. And for example, when Lord Ram was banished to the forest for 14 years, one part of the forest, he met some sages that were undergoing severe austerities. He was there because there were three of them, the Lord Ram, Lakshman, and Sita. So there were three together. When these sages saw Lord Ram, they were very much attracted to him. That's not surprising. But they were attracted to him like a woman is attracted to a man. And they were sages in male bodies. Still, they were attracted that way. And so that was confusing to them. They liked the attraction, but why is the attraction that of like a woman to a man? And so being truthful themselves, they revealed to Lord Ram that we're feeling very much attraction to you as the Lord, but we're feeling attraction like a woman attracts, feels attraction for a man. The Lord didn't get upset about it because we look at things in the material form, but he doesn't. He just promised them that, all right, in this particular pastime that I'm in, and I'm just paraphrasing, there's going to be one person only, Sita, as my wife. But later, you will have an opportunity to relate to me when I come as Krishna in Vrindavan. And so those sages took birth as gopis. And then they were able to relate to Krishna in the Pariksit Ras as a girlfriend. There were some in different situations he married. As a matter of fact, even Kaliya's wives, later on, they also expressed that they would like to be gopis. And so there are different situations at different times where some of these sages, as I described this example earlier, got to relate to the Lord and wished to be in that relationship of Madhurya Ras, the conjugal love relationship. And Krishna allowed it to happen. In some cases, it was just one person, like Kubja. Another person in other situations, Kubja, again, when Krishna and Balaram were in Mathura, and Kubja met, or they were met, they were going through Mathura, the town itself, and she was a hunchback at that time, and Krishna cured this hunch situation in her back, and she fell so much in love with Krishna. First, it was material, but Krishna spiritualized it. So she also got into this conjugal relationship with Krishna. So Krishna is very merciful and Krishna is very loving. And when you want to open your heart to Krishna, he will definitely accept you. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 31, spiritual lust and material lust are explained by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes you will see in the 10th canto, and this is what sometimes throws devotees off. It's described that the gopis have lusty desires. And that lusty desires is based on intense love, though, of Krishna. Yes, they are attracted to Krishna's looks. And they became the most beloved of the Lord that way. Now, Srila Prabhupada now hits the nail on the head by saying the gopis of Vrindavan expressed their lusty desires verbally, especially, that they said that, yes, we are feeling, please satisfy our lust for you. And so the paramour relationship, the Pariksit Ras, that was there. But Srila Prabhupada said they actually had no lusty desires the way we think about lust. They didn't have that type of lusty desire, even though they used the word like that. So for us at our level, we have to say that they used it like a convenient word to express how they're feeling towards Krishna. But the actual expression we can't understand because we know material lust. So this is Papa said they had no lusty desires. And it says this is significant to understand in order to make spiritual advancement. The desires appear to be lusty, but actually they're not the type of lusty desires we have in the material world. This is why when some people hear about Christians with so many girlfriends, they're in the middle of the night in the forest and they're having a relationship, and then some people try to copy, and some people even criticize Christians, says, how come he has all of these? It's not good show of behavior for us. And Lord Ram is better because Lord Ram had only Sita, one wife. They don't understand what this particular relationship is.
Call from Bilpa.
So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compares these desires to the spiritual world and desires to the material world by saying that the desires to the spiritual world is like gold and the desires in the material world is like iron. Gold and iron, they are all metals. Both of them are metals. But there's a vast difference in their value. Gold is way more valuable than iron. So the lusty, so-called lusty desires of the gopis for Krishna are compared to gold, and the material lusty desires we have here are compared to iron. Just trying to shed some light on the differences. So what was going on for those, this is the last point I want to discuss here. What was going on between Krishna and the gopis? The gopis, Krishna was the paramour. The gopis were married. those that were girlfriends of Krishna were married. They had husbands. And this is why some people also who don't understand, Srila Prabhupada says they are poor fund of knowledge, tend to criticize Krishna. This is an arrangement by Krishna himself to have it like that. Hmm? And so in the night, when they hear Krishna's flute, these gopis leave and go to Krishna. Hmm? In 10th Canto, chapter 33, text 37, it talks about the cowherdmen, those who were married to the gopis. Hmm? Yogamaya creates a double for all of these wives. So even though the gopis go to Krishna, they go to Krishna in the middle of the night to have a rasa dance and other relationships. The husbands see the wives there with them. But that is an arrangement made by Yogamaya so that you see a double, which is actually not the real gopi, but for American terms, a fake gopi, but looking exactly like the real gopi with the husband. So then the husband never complained. They never harbored any jealous feelings against Krishna. So actually, the truth is, Krishna's gopis were never touched by these cowherd men. It was only the fake. It's not too hard to figure out. Let's just take the day and the night. Daytime were the cowherd men. They are tending to the cows. The women are doing the other services too that they do. Either with the cows, churning milk, and going on, many things that they do. If there's going to be any kind of relationship that's conjugal, it will be in the evening. But in the evening, the gopis go to Krishna. And the Yogamaya gives them at the house, the double of those gopis. So the husbands can relate to those doubles, but not to the real gopis. So actually, all that while, if there was any kind of close feelings from the gopis and Krishna, that was always happening without those husbands of the gopis being part of it. Never. That never happened. But there was, by the Yogamayas, the Krishna's arrangement, that one question that you shouldn't ask me is why? Because this is Krishna wanted to do it like that. That's the answer to that. So really what was going on was the gopis loved Krishna exclusively. And they knew that. At home during the day, they do the activities, they relate to the men, but they know that in the middle of the night when Krishna is ready, they're going to go, and Yogamaya protects their relationship with the Lord when they're gone, even though they're married, when they're gone, then the double is created by Yogamaya. So it never was an issue between Krishna and the cowherd men. Because for them, their wives were with them, not knowing that this whole arrangement has been made by by Krishna, but through Yogamaya, for them to see their wives next to them all night, relating whichever way they wanted to relate, while the real gopis who belong to Krishna exclusively have gone to have a Ras relationship with the Lord. Therefore, and we spent time talking about this, therefore, nobody should think that Krishna is taking somebody else's wife. The gopis actually belong to Krishna. Now, the only part you ask is, so why is it that way? Well, when women get up to that age, they do get married. That's just the custom. So Krishna has allowed that to happen, the tradition. The women have to get married. So he lets that happen. But these women, these gopis belong to Krishna. And therefore, to get around the issue of these men who are the husbands of the gopis, then Krishna created, through Yogamaya, the double for the nighttime to relate to those men, those cowherd men. And things were going on okay, because the cowherd men were never aware that the real gopis were actually relating to Krishna alone. So hopefully that sheds some light. I'm looking at the time, it's almost 9 o'clock. So there's some more things I wanted to add, but I think that's good enough for now. So you got to understand, when Krishna is having the pastimes as a paramour to these gopis, the gopis are relating to him alone, even though they are looked at as married, and they go back to their homes. But at that time when they relate to Krishna, those cowherd men never really get to relate to the gopis. In a conjugal type relationship. It never happens. Krishna is for the gopis and the gopis exclusively. So hopefully this Parkiras, it's a very, very special relationship. We'll stop here because I want to see what kind of questions you'll come up with. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much for this really deep class. Yes, if there was more time, I'm sure we could definitely have gotten more into it because
Definitely
it's
more.
interesting. But what I would like to
Especially on this
ask is
point.
two things. First, I want to ask the devotees if you have any questions, any comments, any reflections or takeaways, please, do raise your hand or put it in the chat and I'll be happy to read it. Or if you, like I say, if you want to ask, please raise your hand. We would love to get, at least a little bit of discussion here. Two things I wanted to ask was
Yeah.
the deep pastimes that you were sharing about the gopis and, which I never heard of actually, when you said that each of the gopis had some rasa, but not completely. It was Radharani that has all the rasas. And I was
Yes.
thinking, wow, I had no idea. Was that by Dhanira Swami?
No, that's Gogovinda Maharaj explained it.
Oh, Gorgonda Maharaj ki jai.
Before
Okay.
then, Radha Maharaj had just simply listed all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But Govinda Maharaj explained each one of them. And that's a whole class by itself, which we can talk about that. I've talked about it once, but we can explain it here too at another time.
Thank you. My second question is, when you were mentioning the four rasas, right?
Yes.
Is it safe or is it bona fide? I think the word is it safe or is it bona fide by Srila Prabhupada's teachings to adopt one of the rasas or think that we are in that rasa, but the fear of not able to display the rasas in the proper way, is it the right thing to do?
Right now, since we are conditioned souls and learning how to love Krishna, first through instruction and hopefully then through habit, and then, we have feelings for him. Our egos, our false egos, are in the way of good relationship with Krishna. Therefore, we have been taught, you serve and serve the servants of Krishna. So that's where we are at now. We are in a servant type relationship with the servants of Krishna, serving the servants of Krishna. Now, our relationship in the spiritual world with Krishna, that is there. And that is one of the rasas. That can be revealed later on. But because we're so far removed from our relationship with Krishna that we don't even remember previous times, previous lives in the material world, much less go back to the way it was in the spiritual world before we wound up here. We don't remember any of that. Therefore, right now, for us, it is not important to concern ourselves with what kind of rasta we're in. We are in the mood of learning how to be a proper, loving servant of the servants of Krishna. That's where we are now. In other words, the short answer to your question is there's no need to worry about our relationship with the rasas right now. The spiritual master is guiding us. And when we get the mercy of Krishna and go back to Lok Vrindavan, the rasa will be there. It's always been there before we came here anyway.
So the conclusion is we should just remain in the Das Anudas platform.
Yes.
That's
we
what
should
Dheeraj
remain in
Swami
the
said.
Das Anudas platform because even the pure devotees are showing us that this is the platform that we should be at because they themselves are relating that way. They are relating that way because the parampara is there. And the parampara we know, our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Gokishore Das Babaji, and it goes on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, like that. But they're pure devotees. So why are they serving like the way they're serving? They're teaching us how to serve. He's teaching us how to serve the servant, like that. So the guru-disciple relationship is a servant to another servant, like that, on up, one having another guru, like that. And by that time that we have actually gotten to the point where we almost mastered serving with all our hearts, not having things for our own selves. In other words, looking at something fruitive of having some ulterior motive when we serve. The happiness will come also, the internal happiness. The soul will be very much awake to this. In the spiritual world, the devotees serve each other also. They serve each other in order to serve Krishna. In other words, they help each other like a teamwork in order to serve the divine couple. So this service mood is there, and we at this point are not quite familiar with the way it used to be in the spiritual world because we've forgotten that. And so for that, we can't tell yet what we are in the spiritual world or were in the spiritual world. But we'll get to that point. And then, at that point, then whatever that relationship is, will be the relationship between us and Krishna. That's there. Right now, we're back in school because we've fallen out of love and we're being rehabilitated practically. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. We are definitely back in school, grade 1 level, LKG. Thank you.
Yeah, kindergarten level.
Yeah, absolutely. Went kindergarten level, no doubt about that. Any other questions from devotees? Anything that you'd like to ask that's coming to your mind? Clarification, thoughts, please do unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand. Just going down the list here. And okay, if there isn't, we
I
thank
can
you.
talk a little bit if you don't mind.
Hare Krishna.
Hold
Hare
on,
Krishna.
Brett jumped in. Go
okay,
ahead, Brett.
Okay.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all praise to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the class, Prabhuji, and making that point of the differentiation between a girlfriend relationship, wife relationship. Was listening to Prabhupada today in Maharaj's class, and Prabhupada was talking about how brahmachari shouldn't even associate with women until they're 25, and then he gave the point of Machava Paradareshu, which is all women should be looked at as mother. So as Kali Yuga progresses, Prabhuji, we see like more and more the common men, some are saying, well, I'm not this gender, I'm not that gender. We're seeing a lot of body identification come into play here. And even, the controversy between Mataji and Prabhuji. So my question is, is Mataji referring to women as mother, looking as mother? Is that for our benefit? And we really, it's just hard when we have all these like new age bodily identifications, if that makes sense, because, I want to hold on to that, thinking of all women as mother. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada has asked us to look at mothers except our own wives. I mean, women except our own wives as mothers. First of all, they are mothers. Every woman can have a child, can bear a child. Women, physical bodies are designed that way. So either the woman is a mother or a potential mother if she hasn't had a child yet. So to put that in that category is obviously the right thinking that should be there. And I understand the question. We'll get to that part first. This is just the preface part of it. So Srila Prabhupada is very strategic in what he does in order to help us to grow, because we are conditioned souls. And conditioned souls in a planet that really plays up the mode of passion, especially the mode of passion. And mode of passion has to do, of course, its summit is a relationship or illicit relationship, the mode of passion, illicit relationship. Many people do not look at illicit relationships between themselves and their mothers. They will look at relationships between them and other women. So it is a strategic way in which Srila Prabhupada has kind of calmed down or toned down the lusty relationship by saying that you look at all other women as mother. It doesn't matter what age. It could be young, but you still look at them as mother. So if you think that way in terms of mother, then it will dampen the lusty thoughts. As a matter of fact, even the Papa has gone to the point of saying that you do not take garlic, you do not take some of those things, mushroom, and those things that internally can cause his body to come across more lusty. Because lust, mode of passion, is what drives this particular medium planet that we're in, materially speaking, that is. And so we can get caught up in the mode of passion things. And so some of our rules are set up, or some of our advice, the way in which we do things, they are put in place to reduce our material lusty desires. And that's why that is there. Now, as far as the New Age people and how they're looking at things, those are very much steeped in the Kali Yuga conception of things, and they're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So the advice is, don't really play into what they're coming across with, because when it gets to a point, there's going to be a gender merger, and women are going to think they're men, and men are going to think they're women. It's already started. So what the material world people who are not devotees are doing is they just running themselves on the high road to hell, and it's no point doing that. Being concerned about what they're doing. I know you work, you have to relate to them, and they're non-devotees, true enough, but you give your association, you don't take their way of thinking. You work based on what it is that you have to do, and when you leave, you're thinking about devotional service and devotees and the Krishna mantra and so on. And that's as much as you can, you do that while you're working, to have things around you reminding you of Krishna. If you can hear some bhajans and if you can get away with that, you do that. But once you leave work, then the mind should be on Krishna conscious activities only. Yeah. As far as the material world is going, the people are just doing all kinds of strange things that will just give them even non-human bodies next life. So we have to be careful and stay away from their way of thinking. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
That was a very nice question, Brett. Very, very nice question. Thank you.
Glory to Guru and Guranga.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, we have way past the 9 o'clock mark, and we thank you all for joining us. And we hope to see you online tomorrow as we continue Srimad Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning. Until then, Vanchakaptibhyascha, Kripasinubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sorry, Marsh didn't speak this morning. I'm sorry. I'm in tomorrow morning's mode. I have to do his class tomorrow morning. I apologize. All glories. Have a wonderful day.
Vaishnav Thakur ki jai.
I'm in a different mode. I'm ahead of 24 hours here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo. Have a nice week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada.
Jai, glory to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, glory to Prabhupada.